So my husband and I got a modest tax refund this year. Ideally, we would not have gotten a refund because we had done some tax planning with our tax pro throughout the year and we try to pay in exactly what we're going to owe. But the Navy got his bonus messed up. So that led to us having a lower income than we anticipated, but having paid taxes as if we would have had a higher income. So we got a refund. And he sends me a text message while I was out of town because he was getting ready for church. And he said, "Hey, do we need a tithe on our tax refund?" And I told him we didn't. But it was a really good question because that chunk of change kind of feels like income, right? Like anytime another entity puts money in your bank account, that might seem similar to a paycheck that should be tithed on. And I briefly explained my rationale to him, and so I thought I would share it with you all too. Now, I do have a full video on how I tithe specifically because I'm a business owner, so that adds some additional complications. I do encourage you to watch that one too. And please know that I encourage generosity, and we try to be very generous over and above our tithe. But I have an analytical mind, and I appreciate frameworks that help in decision making. So I'm going to share the framework I use for this decision. A framework isn't a rigid rule, but it's at least a place to start from or a place to deviate from. I'm going to present this framework very generally, and it's not going to touch on complex tax situations. It's going to be very bare bones, simple tax situation, but the principle will hopefully plant a seed of how I think about giving when you want to give a percentage amount. So here we go. Now, here's why I recommended that we don't tithe on that money. It is because we already tithe on our gross income. So this tax refund is not any sort of additional income to us. But in general, if you are someone who tithes on your net income, then you would need to tithe on your tax refund. Let's look at some numbers to illustrate. I'm trying to use nice round numbers. They're pretty big, but I'm going to make it easy for the math to stand out more easily. Remember, this is overly simplified just for illustration. So we've got 120 per year gross, which is a 10,000 per month gross, and 2,000 in taxes are withheld each month. Assuming a 10% figure as our tithing multiplier, then people who tithe on gross income just know that they need to pay 10% of 120 or 12,000 minimum annually to their local church. Side note, you'll learn this in my full tithing video, but I believe tithes go to your local church where you have become a member and that offerings are to other charities are above a 10% tithe to your local church, which we do give to other entities too. But this is my personal belief. This is how I operate. But back to the numbers. So let's say you tithe on net income. Well, what's that math? So in this example, you will have 8K show up into your bank account each month. So that's 8 times 12, 96,000. So you're going to tithe 9,600. But let's say you over withheld your taxes from your paycheck by $500 each month. First of all, you should talk to HR and fix your withholding so you take more home each paycheck and get a smaller refund. But what's done is done for last year. So you over withheld 500 times 12 or 6 grand. And Uncle Sam refunds you back 6 grand. Again, just really simple, not exactly how tax calculations work, but sort of in the general direction. So what does this tell us? Well, your direct deposits of your take-home pay should have been 8,500. 8,500 per month times 12 times 10% is 10,200, but you only tithe 9,600. So you do need to give an additional $600 if you want to be consistent. To further illustrate this principle, let's take it to the other extreme. Let's say you tithe on net income, but you under withheld and you do your taxes and you find out that you owe the government. Are you going to ask your church for some of your tithe money back? Probably not, right? So in general, I like thinking of tithing on gross income as the simplest way to manage things. If my income situation gets more complex because of asset or income diversification strategies, like maybe real estate investing or making small bets on startups or anything like that, I think it will make things easier to be thinking about it in terms of gross increase because you can start to manipulate your withholdings to make it seem like your income is less throughout the year as you anticipate getting that big refund check. So hopefully this video illustrated the general principle of why I told my husband not to tithe on that tax refund. We still might give it away, but in my mind, that would be an offering, not a tithe. Give me a comment below if you found my argument compelling or if you disagree. But wait, before you go, there is a principle that you should always layer on top of even this mathematical formula. I know my personality is such that I try to be more rational and calculating than emotional or listening to my gut. And so ultimately, this concept of tithing to your local church is between you and the Lord. It's not some mathematical formula calculating down to the very last penny, y'all. I don't want anything about this video to be binding anyone's conscience or to be legalistic. Honestly, we tied bone on income for a long time, many years. And it was a journey of praying and trusting the Lord with his abundant blessings. And we were able to transition to tithing on our gross income. I haven't regretted it. And I'll hopefully keep seeking the Lord's guidance for stewarding all that he has given us. If you want to watch that other video, it's especially relevant to people who have non W-2 income, people who work for themselves, even just as a freelancer or with the fully blown, fully developed business. That video will be linked below. I'm Kate Josephine Johnson, and I help businesses build their business legacy.